Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday service for the 21st of June, which is also Father's Day. And today we are celebrating Father's Day. It's a day that we honor the fathers, the grandfathers, spiritual fathers, mentors, all those who have nurtured us in some way. And we also recognize that Father's Day can actually stir up many emotions for us. Some remember loving fathers with gratitude. Some carry wounds from absent fathers or fathers that weren't so loving. Some grieve fathers who have passed away, and others long to become fathers themselves. Yet beyond every human experience of fatherhood stands a greater reality, the divine fatherhood of God, the source from which all life emerges and to which all life returns. Today, we're discussing chapter 13 of the book called The Way of Mastery, and it's entitled, You Are an Unlimited Spirit. And this chapter really invites us to a deeper understanding of who we are. And it reminds us that beneath our human identity, beneath our fears, our limitations, our stories, our struggles, we are spiritual beings created from divine love itself, source itself, which makes us look differently at Father's Day because it teaches us that true fatherhood is not merely biological. True fatherhood reflects the creative, nurturing, empowering nature of God. And every father is called to help others to remember the truth of who they are, unlimited spirits expressing the life of God. One of the central teachings of chapter 13 is that human beings often mistake themselves for their limitations. We identify ourselves by our age, our successes and failures, our careers, our wounds. We identify ourselves by what others have said about us. Yet this chapter reminds us that those things are not our true identity. You are not merely a body. You're not merely a personality or a history. You are spirit. You are consciousness. You are an expression of the creative life of God. When Moses stood before the burning bush and asked God his name, God replied, I am that I am. And God or source did not define itself through limitation. God revealed itself as pure being. And that same divine life that spoke through the bush is the life that animates every human soul. The world constantly teaches limitation, and spirit teaches possibility. The world says you can't, and spirit says all things are possible. The world says you are your mistakes, and spirit says you are my beloved child. The world says you have reached your limits, and spirit says you have not yet discovered who you truly are. And this is where Father's Day becomes deeply meaningful. A healthy father does not merely provide food and shelter and protection. A healthy father becomes a mirror reflecting possibility and looks at a child and says, I see something in you that you do not yet see in yourself. And that is exactly how Source itself relates to us. Source sees beyond our present conditions, sees beyond it sees our divine potential. It sees the masterpiece while we are still focused on the unfinished canvas down here. Source seeks the oak tree hidden within the acorn, the saint hidden within the struggler, the victor hidden within the fearful heart. And that Father knows who you truly are. The question is whether you believe it. So, chapter 13 repeatedly emphasizes spirit is creative, it's not static, it's dynamic. Spirit is always expanding, always expressing, always creating. And this is one of the most important characteristics of divine fatherhood. From the very beginning of Scripture, God creates. God speaks, imagines, brings forth worlds. Everything that exists emerges from divine creativity. And as children of Source itself, we inherit that same creative nature. You know, we may not create universes, but we create realities through our thoughts, our beliefs, our words, and our actions. And every father understands this principle. A father's words can shape a child's future. A father's encouragement can unlock hidden gifts. A father's belief can become the foundation of a child's confidence. Likewise, a father's criticism can create wounds. A father's neglect can create insecurity. And a father's absence can leave questions that linger for decades. Words become worlds. Source, the source of all, understands this. And that is why throughout Scripture, God continually speaks life. When others saw fishermen, Jesus saw apostles. When others saw a tax collector, Jesus saw a disciple. When others saw a persecutor, God saw Paul the apostle. God, Source, consistently sees beyond appearances, and true fatherhood does the same. The highest expression of fatherhood is not control, it's empowerment. It's helping another person discover the greatness already planted within them. And now we must understand something very important. When chapter 13 teaches that we are unlimited spirits, it does not mean that the ego becomes all powerful. The ego says, I am better than others. And spirit says, we are all connected. The ego seeks domination, and spirit seeks service. The ego seeks recognition, and spirit seeks expression. Ego seeks control, spirit seeks creation. And Jesus demonstrated this perfectly because his greatness was expressed through humility. He washed feet, he healed the sick, he embraced the forgotten, he forgave his enemies. And his power flowed through the alignment with Source itself. And that is the secret. Unlimited spirit is not about becoming more self-important. It's becoming more God-centered, source-centered, spirit-centered, whatever term you want to use. And the more that we align ourselves with divine love, the more our true power emerges. And this is a lesson that fathers desperately need today. The world often teaches fathers that strength means dominance. But spiritual strength means presence. It means compassion. It means integrity. It means consistency. The strongest fathers are often the quietest. They show up, they keep their promises, they love faithfully, they create safety, and they become living examples of the divine itself. So, what is the greatest gift a father can give? It's not money, it's not inheritance, it's not success, it's not identity. The greatest fathers help their children understand who they are. And chapter 13 teaches that awakening is the process of remembering our true nature. Many people spend their lives searching for themselves. They look for identity and achievement in relationship, in possessions. But identity cannot be found outside ourselves. It has to be discovered within. This is where a wise father teaches you are valuable because of who you are, not of what you achieve. You are loved before you perform. You are worthy before you succeed. You belong before you prove yourself. And these messages become anchors for life. And in many ways, this reflects God's relationship with humanity. When Jesus was baptized, a voice came from heaven saying, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." So notice the timing. Jesus had not yet performed miracles. He hadn't preached sermons. He hadn't, healed crowds. This statement from source came before the accomplishments. That is unconditional love. And every human heart longs to hear those same words. You are my beloved child. You are loved. You are enough. You belong. So, what would happen if we truly embrace the teachings of chapter 13? What would happen if we genuinely believed we are unlimited spirits created by divine love? One, fear would begin to lose its grip on us. Another, resentment would begin to dissolve. Victimhood would begin to disappear. Possibility would expand. Definitely hope would rise up. Faith would happen. And we would stop asking, what if I fail? And begin asking, what does God want to create through me? We would stop focusing on scarcity and we would start recognizing all the abundance already around us. We would stop defining ourselves by our wounds. We would begin defining ourselves by our purpose. An unlimited spirit is not someone who never encounters obstacles. An unlimited spirit is someone who understands that obstacles do not define them. The ocean remains vast even when waves appear on its surface. And likewise, your spirit remains whole even when challenges arise. Your circumstances are going to change. Life changes all the time. Yet your spirit remains connected to source itself. Your emotions are going to fluctuate depending on different things that happen to you. But your spirit remains anchored in divine love. These bodies are going to age, as we already all know, and yet your spirit remains eternal. This is the freedom that chapter 13 of Way of Mastery points us toward. Now, Father's Day is also an opportunity to recognize spiritual fathers, because not everyone has biological children. Yet many people have fathered lives through wisdom, encouragement, mentoring, teaching, service. The Apostle Paul called Timothy his son in faith. Elijah mentored Elisha. Moses guided Joshua. Jesus formed his disciples. And spiritual fatherhood continues constantly. Teachers, ministers, coaches, mentors, grandfathers, community leaders. Every person who helps another discover their divine potential participates in spiritual fatherhood. So, in a world filled with criticism, spiritual fathers offer encouragement. In a world like we have now, filled with confusion, spiritual fathers offer wisdom. In a world filled with fear, spiritual fathers offer faith. The world desperately needs such fathers. We need men and women who can look beyond appearances and recognize the spirit within others. We need people who call forth greatness in those around them. We need people who remind others of their true identity. Most of all, we need people who see what God sees. And ultimately, every human father points toward the ultimate father, Source itself. Human fathers are imperfect. Some do well, some struggle, some succeed, some fail. But all human fathers are limited. And Source itself alone is the perfect father because it never abandons, never forgets, never stops loving, never withdraws its presence, never ceases believing in us. And the message of chapter 13 is rooted in this divine relationship. You are an unlimited spirit because you came from an unlimited source. You are loved because love itself created you. You are creative because the Creator lives within you. You are powerful because divine life animates your being. You are worthy because your worth originates in divine source. And this truth remains unchanged regardless of circumstances. Whether you feel strong or weak, whether you feel successful or unsuccessful, whether you feel confident or uncertain, your spiritual identity remains intact. The source of all continues to call you its beloved child. So today, as we celebrate Father's Day, what may we remember that the highest purpose of fatherhood is not simply raising children, it's awakening souls. It's helping others remember who they truly are. It is reflecting the love of Source. And chapter 13 of The Way of Mastery reminds us that we are not limited beings struggling to become spiritual. We are spiritual beings learning to remember our unlimited nature. Source itself has planted greatness within us, has placed creativity within us, has placed love within us, and has placed its own essence within us. And therefore, today, let every father be determined to speak life. Let every parent be determined to nurture possibility. Let every mentor be determined to awaken purpose. And let every one of us remember this sacred truth. You are not your fear. You are not your past. You are not your limitations. You are not your failures. You are an unlimited spirit. You are a beloved child of God. You are created in divine love. And through the grace of the one source God, your greatest possibilities are very much still ahead of you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And for all those fathers out there, may you have a beautiful and wonderful, happy Father's Day. God bless each and every one. Many, many blessings. And so it is.